Is it counting down, bro? Yeah, that's a lot better.
All right. Well, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Talk About It Live with Frank and Manny. Here today, we are coming at you live. Sorry about the short countdown. I hit the wrong button, and it kind of put us on track there to start. And so sorry for the late start. We had some difficulties and some things that we're working out on. Let me let you know that Frank is not in the studio with me today, so I'm going to bring him up here rather quickly. Let me see if I can grab him here, and then move him around. Let me see, where is he at? There he is. All right. So, all right, there you are. You're on screen there, Frank. Good morning, brother.
Hey, good morning, bro. Hey, everybody. How y'all doing?
And Frank's out of town, and so, but we're gonna get things started and things rolling here today. You know, there's a lot of stuff that we gotta talk about, and I mean, it seems like it's been a long week, right, brother?
Yeah, it sure has, man. It's been a lot happening, of course, and yeah, there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
But you know, and of course, we'll be talking about what happened in Uvalde. Uh, our hearts and thoughts, bro, and demands for uh, answers seem to permeate this entire conversation.
Yeah, you're right, brother. You're right, and I've been, in planning and looking, forward to the program this morning. It's been difficult for me, to what to discuss, to tell you the truth, because it's like I
Yeah,
said, I think, like we talked about earlier before the show, that everybody's talking about it. But as
yeah,
border patrol agents, former retired border patrol agents, as believers, I think it's important that we, at least broach the subject. What happened. Of course, well, we all know what happened, but just some of the concerns that I had
yeah,
and have, and the response of this current administration, I think is what concerns me the most, to tell you the truth. Um, you know, it's sad. I've been praying all week. Every morning, even this morning, for those who had suffered loss because of this tragic event. And there's no two ways about it, brother. It's tragic, man. It's tragic, and it just breaks my heart, in regards to what has happened, um, there in Uvalde, and we always pray that stuff like this never happens again, right?
yeah. And look, geez, well, where do you even start at? Cain and Abel.
Yeah,
I mean, bro, it's part of it is as believers, man. Look, sin is with us, death is with us. We know that, uh, and so we have to be prepared, Manny. Prepared in this life and prepared for life everlasting.
oh yeah, yeah,
And so, yeah, there's a lot of dimensions to this situation in Uvalde. And man, honestly, I wrestled with this myself, even talking about it, brother, because uh, I, I heard some people from the Uvalde area, talking about their interactions with the media, their interactions with elected officials. Unfortunately, situations like this, Manny, they bring out the best and the worst in people, and it's difficult enough in life just having to deal with the unexpected death of a loved one
mm,
or of a friend. That's difficult enough as it is, but the storm of attention and the rhetoric, the discussions, it exacerbates the situation. And look, you as well as I have dealt with untimely death. This is certainly tragic, man. I
yeah.
mean, it's a terrible situation when it took place. So right off the bat, I go towards the families, and my heart goes out to them. Obviously, they're having to prepare for something instead of preparing for summer, the
Yeah,
kids being home. Many of them are preparing to bury their children, man. And
yeah,
so it feels very. I tend to look at some of these people and look, man. There's got to be answers. There's got to be accountability. There's got to be transparency. But there's almost a sense of some of these people are acting ghoulish
Yeah.
and their need to be in front of a camera. Their need to be, seen as being involved. You know as well as I do, Manny. A lot of times, the real support, the real assistance to people in times of crisis. We're both trained in critical incident stress management. Uh, a large part of it was certainly mitigation. After the fact response, and we always, you and I, and our chaplaincy team, we always push for a proactive
Right.
approach to situations. We sought that with applied suicide intervention skills training, to be ahead of stopping in this case, in that case, death by suicide. And so a large part of this discussion, Manny, is going to have to deal with preventing further situations like this, future situations,
Yeah.
and honestly looking at what took place here.
Yeah, and it's hard not to, I think offend people with comments or anything like that. No matter which way you look at it, somebody is gonna, may interpret things the wrong way. No matter what you say in an event like this, and it's hard and it's difficult to understand why this happened. To accept, spiritually speaking, there's sin in this world. There's evil in this world, and we know that bad things happen in this world, and I'm not trying to invalidate anybody's, mourning or loss or anything like that, or trying to minimize it. But the sad truth and the harsh truth is that there's evil in this world, and until Messiah comes, things aren't going to get better. Matter of fact, the Bible tells us that things are going to get worse. They're going to get darker. That evil is going to increase. Especially against the righteous. And those things are hard to say sometimes. Especially, I'm not trying to like I said, minimize anybody's issues or mourning or loss. I can't imagine what the families are going through. I just can't, brother. I think it the day that it happened, and I heard about it, I was brought to tears. My wife and I, we both, I think, cried for a few days, brother. Because thinking about the children, thinking about what they must have gone through, the horror, that they must have gone through, we can go back and replay all kinds of things. Well, maybe this should have been done, maybe that should have been done, but the reality is this happened. It's happened. We can't go back, but we can learn from this. I hope we learn from this, and I hope that things, God willing, God forbid this doesn't happen again, but the reality is we must learn from this. We must learn. There needs to be better response. I don't think adding more, this is my personal opinion, but I don't think adding more gun laws will prevent criminals from doing, or evil people from doing such terrible things.
Yeah, there's already a lot of laws in the book, man. I've purchased weapons in the past, and been with friends who purchased their weapons. And look, you do have to submit your information, and if there's
Yeah.
any kind of hint of anything, I've seen where people are denied right there at the counter. Hey, something came back. You're gonna have to get with uh, DPS or whoever, uh, because that's part of the system he uses, the state system. You're gonna have to find out, why you were denied. Um, yeah, there's a lot of talk, man, and you're gonna get the far left and the far right. I'm just thinking one of the main things that I come to this point in my thought process, Manny, is that the Second Amendment uh, was not created to grant Americans, via the Constitution, Americans the right uh, to protect themselves. That's a God-given thing, man.
Right.
It's a God-given thing, and so that very they affirm what we know to be true is
Or
that
unalienable
you
rights,
know
right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we have a right to defend ourselves, man. And so that's kind of the overarching, you know, aspect to this. But uh, of course, you've heard it. You've heard it. Outlaw AR-15s, regulate AR-15s, even throw out the Second Amendment, and even Biden said that, paraphrasing here, President Biden said that the Second Amendment is not inalienable.
He said it's not.
Basically,
He
is what
said
he said.
he said it's not absolute. And I was
It's
reading
not
that. Yeah,
absolute,
I was
bro.
reading that quote this morning, which is ridiculous, which should outrage God fearing American citizens. Because in my opinion, that shows an administration a willingness to infringe on our unalienable rights. We give up and
Yeah.
we surrender to this. Giving up the Second Amendment, we're going to surrender our other constitutional rights. That's the way it goes. You take a little bit, eventually it adds up to a lot, right?
Yeah, and it's little by little, bro. It's little by little that personal liberty is infringed, is eroded, and so. But this is, it's a very touchy issue. It certainly is, but that's why, fundamentally the president is wrong. There are absolutes in life, and so he's referring to the Second Amendment, but he is he is therefore saying that inalienable right to defend yourself is not absolute.
Right.
And people, you'll drill down into the militia and all that kind of stuff, language of the Second Amendment. But look, even persons that live in other nations, other parts of the world, the absolute is you have a right to defend yourself.
Yep.
When a person with evil intent, with evil in their thoughts and their minds, comes after you, no matter you live in a frozen corner of, you know, and if you're down in the Arctic or Antarctica, or you're on an island anywhere, you have a right to defend yourself, man. Plain and simple. Our founding fathers, articulated that and enshrined it in the Constitution. What the conversation, and let's just throw this. I was talking with a person who's very much up to speed on the Second Amendment. Uh, the Man, there's just so many different levels to this, but of course you expect that aspect of this situation will be attacked. But look, let's talk about a little bit about uh, the response, Manny, because you and I, we're Border Patrol
Yeah.
agents, retired,
Yeah.
but we both went through active shooter
Yeah.
training,
Yeah.
and in this situation here, we saw, and it's been, highlighted nationally, the role of Border Patrol,
Yeah.
the Border Patrol tactical unit, and even an off-duty agent,
Yeah.
who is at the barber shop. Both of these two guys, two aspects of this have been brought into the forefront, and certainly, man, look, talking to our fellow agents, uh, there's not a, bro. This is it's a grim. It's grim.
It is.
It's
Yeah.
grim that that we had to respond to this. That Border Patrol responded along with other law enforcement. It's a sad situation, and it's not a sense of pride, egotistical pride. It's a very humble uh, aspect of, yeah, this is what we do.
Yeah.
Border Patrol traditionally, is out here in these small communities, rural communities, border communities, and oftentimes, Manny, we are the only law enforcement presence on the ground.
Yeah.
And so this is what we do, man. We respond to everything from a seismic device telling us there's illegal aliens somewhere on the river, to police
Nope.
respond to situations where there's a fight in progress, or and there's a lot of these the only law enforcement calls before they even dial 911.
Yeah, no, you're right, brother. I mean, I saw the tagline on some articles. Why was Border Patrol there? And the reality is,
Yeah,
brother, is that we in a lot of these communities like Uvalde, like here in Del Rio and Eagle Pass, we outnumber local law enforcement.
Yeah.
There's more of us than there are of sheriffs. There's more of us in DPS and local PD. Sometimes, there's only a handful of sheriffs or PD patrolling at any given time. Right now
Yeah.
of course on the border, because of all the processing that's going on, you hardly see any border patrol agents. But if operations
Exactly.
were running well, like they should be, we border patrol would be out there. Would be out
Yeah.
there in force. Um, it's interesting, Frank. When stuff was going down, I had agents calling me, you know, uh, that were right almost there on the scene a little bit after everything happened. And I saw the headlines. Okay, they got the perpetrator in custody, and then I got phone calls, bro. Agents were were calling me and letting me know, hey, brother, uh, there's 14 dead over here, 14 plus, we believe. And of course, I was arguing back and forth, like, well, this is what the headlines are saying. They're like, no, man, no, this is what's happening right now. And I asked, I said, well, who took out the shooter? And of course, they told me it was Bortacker, and for the Border Patrol Tactical Unit, and that kind of concerned me a little bit, brother, because both you and I, like, we said we understand the response, and Bortac doesn't show up immediately. They usually show up after things start going down, or unless they get a heads up right away from the
Yeah.
beginning. But so that kind of concerned me a little bit. And so I had some great concerns in that area. But at the same time, back to why Border Patrol was there is that a lot of times the reason, folks, is that we're the predominant law enforcement, population there, in these little communities, and we have the resources. Not to say that a lot of the
Yeah.
local PD, these other departments don't have SWAT teams and whatnot, but as far as rapid deployment, Border Patrol is the ones who have that capability more so than local law enforcement. And so,
Yeah. And man. Uh-huh.
oh,
Go
go ahead.
ahead.
No, go ahead, brother.
No, I was just gonna say, bro. Look, it's good. It's great that 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 we have ability, but at the same time, man, same time, the
I'm sorry, you're getting cut off, bro.
Constitution.
There, I get you back. I got you
Hear
back now.
me there, bro?
Yeah, you're there. We got like what you were saying, like at the same time, and then you broke off from there.
Yeah, can you hear me there?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, good, good. Sorry about that. Just being mobile out here. But anyways, look, when minutes matter, you may only have seconds.
Yeah,
And so what I'm saying with that is, at the end of the day, man, it's up to people to be able to defend themselves. So uh, to be able to look at this situation specifically, you have a classroom full of children. So people are going to say, well, how do you expect them to defend themselves?
yeah,
What should have been done? I mean, and that's why, discussing this situation, you're going to have to peel back so many layers
yeah.
to it. And Manny, you know as well as I do that each layer of this is going to be painful, man.
Very painful.
Uh, be,
Yep, yep.
because it's not just it's not a singular aspect to this. It is so complex. So look. One of the things here, there are school districts in the state that allow faculty
Yeah,
to carry weapons. I mean,
yeah,
I'm thinking about, right down the road from where you and I live,
yeah,
Comstock,
yeah,
30 miles away, bro. Comstock, Texas, faculty are allowed to carry weapons.
yeah. They even have a sign
You,
out there. Yeah,
yep, and you saw that. You saw pictures of that being put out across the internet. Certainly, man, the law enforcement responds to this. You were talking earlier about the disparity in reports, man. There was almost you know uh, a very 180 degree uh, portrayal was happening. What I mean by that is first of all, I saw the Uvalde police report that said the shooter was in custody, but yet you're hearing, no, man, he's dead.
Yeah.
So
I think I even called you, right? I even called you and said, "Hey, Frank, this is what
yeah,
I'm hearing, bro. This is the reports that I'm getting."
yeah. And so right off the bat, man, it just started. It it went downhill. It's like, oh my God, this is going to be terrible. Something went dreadfully wrong here, and you and I have seen uh, situations that they go beyond a high speed wobble, man.
Yeah.
It's just a mess from the beginning, and that's just putting it lightly. It's just a one constant error after another.
Yeah.
And so look, man,
And I can tell you, Frank.
what yeah, uh-huh.
I was gonna say, and I can tell you. So when I heard, when I heard the timeline, when I saw the real timeline and all these
Yep.
things, I can tell I struggled, brother. I struggled with criticizing. I really did. The law enforcement
Yeah.
in me, the retired border patrol agent, the in me wanted to come out and jump on these guys. But I'm gonna tell you, this is what I struggled with. Spiritually speaking, emotionally speaking, what we've dealt with as chaplains. I don't want to come out and openly criticize anybody's response. First of all, because I wasn't there, but eventually and ultimately, what these officers saw inside that classroom, bro. People were, again, agents were calling me and giving me descriptions of what was in that classroom, what agents saw, and brother, it brought me to
Yeah.
tears. And so because people have been asking me all week, what would you have done? What would you have done? And I can be honest with you, like every situation that I've been in, I don't know what I would have done at that, because I wasn't there. I can't say what I would have done. This is what I'm trained in, and this is how I would,
Yeah.
believe I would have responded. But the reality is, we really don't know ultimately what we're going to do until we're there in that situation. So I can't Monday back quarterback and say, well, they should have come in this way, they should have stacked this way, they should have been on this side,
Yeah.
because tactically speaking, when classrooms are designed, to protect. At the same time, when you're looking into a classroom, people can hide behind things that you can't see what's going on. So it's hard. It's very, very difficult. But what those officers ultimately saw, bro, I don't even want to imagine seeing those things. Their decisions were made, brother, that they're going to have to live with the rest of their lives. You know what I mean? The rest of their
Well,
lives, and to
and
carry that burden, brother.
yeah, and so it's gonna be the underlying thing for me, Manny, is there's got to be accountability, bro, and there has to be
Oh,
transparency.
yeah, and I'm not saying
Uh,
that there shouldn't
rep-
be. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be.
yeah,
I'm
no,
just,
I'm not. No, I know you're not saying that, bro. I'm just, there's so many aspects to this. Honestly, look, our training says you got to go in,
yeah,
and you run towards because people are dying. You have to go stop, find the shooter, and in a sense, it's not heroism or anything like that, man. A glory hound aspect to this, but every day we put on the gun, the gun belt, and we put on that badge. Every day we put on that uniform. We went out. We knew it could be our last day,
yeah,
and so we had to be, you know, you know, not comfortable with that thought, but we just had to be, resolved that this could be our last day. I might have to take somebody's life,
yeah.
or mine might be taken.
Or might have to
Uh,
sacrifice it.
you
Yeah,
know, that's just part of it, bro. And so, almost in a sense, that shooter has to be shooting at law enforcement and not shooting at children, bro.
yeah.
Has to
Ultimately, yeah,
be
yeah,
his weapon. And people will say, well, "What are you talking about?" Look, in that situation, just the little we know about it, you know, had there been, and I don't know the situation, but in a sense, you have to go towards the shooter,
yeah,
and it's going to be swift. It's going to be violent,
yeah,
because you're dealing with a person that's taking human life, that's willing to take anybody's life,
yeah,
and so yeah, I don't even want to. That's why I said I went over there and I just did a real quick video that the day of
yeah,
that afternoon. I was like, man, I'm not even going to elaborate on this. I don't know what happened. We're waiting to
yeah,
get the final result. What we have seen is bureaucratic, and kind of self
yeah,
preservation to a certain extent of the whole story not getting out in tidbits. timelines being all messed up,
Yeah.
and it's an evolving situation. But hey, look, those parents, that community, they're demanding answers, and rightfully so, man. Rightfully so, demanding answers, and at some point or another, demanding accountability. Who was responsible? Who was entrusted? Um, what broke down?
Yeah.
What are our tax dollars being used for in that school district?
Yeah.
Because traditionally school districts are the highest taxing entities, and so that's why I'm, you know of the sense that when stuff like this, things like this happen, tragedies like this,
Yeah.
man, uh, there's so many dynamics to it. So you got to fall back on principles.
Yeah, and I want to get back. I want to get
You
back.
got you.
Yeah, I want to get back real quick, Frank. I mean, interrupt. I want to get back real quick. That
Yeah,
when I said I don't know exactly how I would have responded, I'm talking about certain
yeah,
certain other aspects of it. My when we had dinner the other night with my kids, my daughter had asked me. She said, "Dad, would you have run in there if you were by yourself?" And I said, "Yes. If I were by
yeah,
my, I would have run in there. I mean, that's just.
yeah,
But if I heard the shots going, brother, with I'm not saying that I disregard my life. I know where I'm going. I'm comfortable where I'm going with once I leave this earth. I'm
yeah,
confident in that. But I would have run in there, brother. I would have run in there
yeah,
and I'm not trying to play hero or anything like that. But
yeah,
that's what I'm saying is I would have run in there, bro, and either
yeah,
try to take out the shooter or sacrifice my life to protect others, bro. That's just
yeah. And so this our entire training always deals with scenarios. That's one thing. Border Patrol always dealing with scenarios. War gaming training, hypothetical, whatever you want to call it. Even Manny, in our hiring process, you're. I know you're a structured interviewer. You're a hiring panel member.
yeah,
I've done the same thing, and that's exactly part of. Without going into too much detail, we present scenarios to prospective applicants, ask them, give them the situation, and ask them what they would do. And so, what would we have done in the situation? You and I, we both would have gone in. You
yeah,
go towards the shooting.
yeah,
You know, uh, you're out there. There's going to be multiple, you know, dynamics at work here. But you go in, you go towards it, and then it's going to evolve as you're walking down the hall, towards a situation. And we did training. I mean, right there in Comstock,
yeah,
I was emergency management, uh, coordinator for Comstock Station. So we had to deal with the Comstock Independent School District, and we talked about active shooter situations
yeah,
and other types of dangerous situations. But anyways, specifically with the school district, we got a layout of the facility. We even trained, not necessarily in Comstock school, although there was trained, not me, but I know that other Comstock agents actually trained in the facility, so we were familiar. And
yeah,
I know that took place in Del Rio, and across the border patrol there was active shooter training. You go in, and each situation is going to evolve, and that's why I bring up the hiring part of it. You as new elements to the situation are injected into it, you adapt.
yeah.
You adapt to each element. I've heard that there was, you know, the steel doors, the doors wouldn't open, etc. So you adapt, man, and you primary is to stop the
Yeah.
shooting, stop the killing.
No, you're
But
exactly right.
you know, right off the bat, man, there's already a firestorm of criticism being directed at the chief of police for the school district,
Yeah.
other law enforcement. They're going to spend months at the department of, they're going to spend months uncovering and going over, talking to
Yeah.
witnesses. There's a whole investigative aspect to this that does need to take place. People need to be held accountable.
Yeah.
There needs to be transparency. It only makes it worse, man, when people hold back of information, and there is this rush to judgment. There's also this rush everybody demands to know the facts immediately,
Yeah.
but it takes time to get
It's going
those
to take
facts
time,
to
and I
get it
think
everybody.
you're right,
Yep.
and I think that's the hardest part, brothers. Waiting for investigations to happen, or and to begin, because you got to know
Yeah.
where to begin. And then when the investigation, it can go on for months, years, because but there has to be accountability. I do know from my sources that there was a lot of confusion, bro, when boots hit the ground over there, man, and it's
It's chaotic,
it
man.
was it was
It's a
very,
chaotic
very, yeah, very,
situation.
very chaotic. There's certain systems in place. They if in the news people would hear them being called the incident commander. Right away, we know that ICS was put into place. Every law enforcement agency should be trained in that incident command system. So to avoid confusion.
Yep.
And sad to say, I think there's a huge breakdown in communication, because and if was that system, I was an instructor in ICS, as I'm looking over everything and I'm hearing what I'm hearing. I can tell you, Frank, some of the things that broke down shouldn't have broken down. I'm not saying that I'm gonna testify as an expert or anything like that. But the reality is, the things that I heard, the things that I'm being told, there was a breakdown in communication. I think in more ways than one. But anyway,
Yeah.
we can look back, lessons, and learn from this. I pray to God we learn from this, and I pray that people are held accountable, simply because some are wearing the badge doesn't mean that there shouldn't be accountability in all this.
Yeah, bro.
We
And
have to own up to the decisions that we make.
yeah, yeah, there's 21 dead people, man. And what happened? Well, people want to know the answers
Yeah,
to that, because not just what we not just what we want to see, but 21 people died, and the families of those 21 people. It's not just one or two. It's hundreds, even thousands of people directly related to these 21 people,
yeah.
man.
And I'll tell you, Frank, it's
And
amazing. Uvalde is a small community,
yeah,
and I went to go get a haircut the other day, and the barber next to me. I'm over here in Del Rio. The barber next to me
yeah,
was talking about that one of his nieces was a victim. And I'm thinking,
yeah,
so it's not just Uvalde. What my point is, not just Uvalde that is affected by this, brother, but the surrounding
yeah,
communities. In this area of Texas, the
yeah,
communities are small. We all know people in the surrounding communities, Uvalde, Brackett, Comstock, all these surrounding communities. A lot of people know each other.
yeah,
I went up past there through Uvalde the other day and saw the people gathering in the town square to mourn with each other, to comfort one another, and this unity. And I think that's kind of what got me angry
yeah,
really, really, really angry when Biden stood up there, and instead of, you know, um, standing up and having a call for unity. Well, he did in a sense to unite against the gun lobbyists. That was his first, call to action, was to unite and stand up against the gun lobbyists. Instead of comforting the mourning, uniting as citizens, as Americans. I think it was terrible, in my opinion, how how this administration has responded.
yeah. There's going to be plenty of criticism, Manny, all across the board. There is. At the end of the day, people, uh, school district administrators, elected officials, law enforcement, and communities across this country have to take a look at their plans, man.
Yeah,
They got to look at their plans, and people will talk about, you know, eight, you've heard it already. 18-year-old, as soon as he was of age, purchased a weapon. Man, that's this is gonna sound harsh, but how many 18-year-olds, how many crimes like this have been committed by other 18-year-olds?
yeah,
That's part of it.
yeah.
You know, there's so many aspects to this.
Well,
They're gonna look at, you got to look at responsible gun ownership,
yeah,
people that do what this person did,
yeah,
who purchased a weapon. Uh, the vast majority of gun owners in America
yeah,
are responsible people. They have them for self defense.
yeah,
Um, Now, some people purchase weapons, Manny, that have never had weapons before, but they purchase them for self defense.
In the major, in the
And
yeah, yeah. I mean, um, when I'm, you were in high, we're pretty close in age. I mean, you were in high school in the '80s,
yeah,
and I remember when I was of age. I remember I wanted a rifle, and my father, said, "Well, if we're gonna get your rifle, he put us through this gun safety class to make sure we understood and respected weapons, right?" But I remember, brothers, in the high school parking lot, guys with
yeah,
rifles in their trucks, on the gun racks,
yeah,
and we didn't have people going over there and breaking into the trucks or I mean, we even had gun classes in high school. I remember,
yeah,
back in New Mexico, where it was always the shop teacher. It was a shop teacher,
yeah,
but where we were at anyway, that would give classes on gun safety, in the high schools, and he had rifles, and it was amazing. All that, and then later on, all that stuff went out the window, and they don't do that anymore. But I think it starts with education, because and I kept getting a lot of these emails stuff about, well, how he, this shooter grew up and was bullied and this and that, and my answer was like, I understand this, but of course other stories came out about it. But anyway, you know
yeah,
there are millions of young people in this country that are bullied, that grow up in broken homes, that come from terrible situations, but we don't see them going out there and killing people, and
yeah,
killing their, and shooting up, schools or churches or synagogues or mosques. We don't see all these children responding that way. And I get it. I understand there's a breakdown somewhere in this person's life, but the reality is people make their own decisions. There's what's called free will. Now, I'm not going to get into the religious aspect of it all, because I'm sure there's some people that, do we really have free will or not? We're not going to get into all that but I do believe in free will,
yeah,
and people make their own decisions.
yeah. It's yeah. Can you hear me, Manny?
Yeah,
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 you're cutting
yeah,
off a little bit
yeah. I
there.
get you.
Yeah, there's certainly that aspect to it as well. And man, people don't want to hear it, man. It's the anger, the hate. It's you can almost feel it out there.
Yeah,
And there are people that don't want to hear about God at this point. I'm sure you've seen it. So much for your thoughts and prayers.
yeah,
Uh, but that's a dimension to this situation, Manny, that just cannot be ignored either. Uh, our society, the way our children uh, are being influenced, the role of parents, the role of schools, government, and so look there you see this methodical, slow, you know, agenda that is unfolding, and it's interwoven into situation. You cannot separate it,
yeah,
but this will be used by those that want government to be big daddy, big mommy.
yeah,
You're going to see it by those that want government to control more people. You're going to see this ever growing, encroaching uh, aspect of government that will seize this opportunity to make more people dependent on government.
yeah,
And so we have to we this talk about the Second Amendment. Look, all you got to do is look at Australia, man, and look at Canada,
yeah,
Australia, even Mexico. How the right of people to defend themselves and has been minimized. Uh, I was just talking with somebody this weekend. Australia, bro, they took their weapons away, and then now they're going after people that are growing their own gardens. They
oh,
have you have to
yeah,
have government sanctioned gardens, and so why am I saying this? Because the founding fathers knew that government needs to be controlled,
yeah,
and government should serve the people, but you said earlier, self will,
yeah,
and we are individuals. Man, this situation is going to bring it to the forefront, the discussion, and it should be discussed. But you know that it's going to be a far storm on either side. It's going to be so heavily politicized. It's going to be so heavily um, uh, fired up, and so people need to have hold on to principles. There's a lot of emotion in this. A lot of people being controlled and driven by immediate emotional response, and you know you do have to take a step back, and so you take a step back to assess the situation. You're going to be accused of being cold and
Yeah.
insensitive as well.
And yeah, you're right. You're
So
exactly
so
right. Yeah, you're exactly right.
it's a no win situation
Yeah.
from either side. But at the end of the day, man, I mean, I just keep on thinking about these families that have such a grim task ahead
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah.
And then there's that family where within a few days, the children were left orphans.
Yeah.
The mother was
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 killed.
shot and
Yeah, and their
killed, and the
father
father
died.
died.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. It's
Getting back to
eh,
what you're talking about,
uh-huh.
the harsh situations. I think that was one of the things I hated about
Yeah,
having to deal with death, and the when I was in the military and with the border patrol. You have to separate yourself at various times
yeah,
during an evaluation, during an investigation. When death is happening, to get the facts. To understand what exactly happened. You know what I'm saying? And so sometimes it was hard to step back away from everything emotionally to ask these tough questions, right? To go in and investigate what
yeah,
exactly had happened, and then coming up and having to say harsh things. You're going
yeah.
to offend people, but when there's accountability that needs to
Yep.
happen, you have to ask those tough questions. You have to look at the totality of circumstances. What happened? Ask these tough questions and make these harsh statements that are going to hurt people, because but
Yeah.
you have to get down to the truth of what had happened. And that's why I
Yeah.
hate using terminology. Well, lessons learned, but in the military, wartime, after every battle, you would evaluate every after combat situation, you evaluate the situation, and then you would come out with the lessons learned a report in case this happens again, or in case you're but and so those are they may seem insensitive. These words may seem
Yeah.
insensitive, but the reality is you have to look at every situation and try to learn from it. God forbid this ever happens again, but the reality is
Yeah.
there's evil in this world, and somebody's going to take advantage of that evil. Somebody's going to take advantage of also the good-heartedness of people, and attack the weak. Why did this guy go into a police station? Why didn't he go to a we had
Yeah.
that one individual who tried to hold up a classroom full of concealed carry, and everybody that was in that class shot at him. We had that one individual who shot into a crowd, and he was killed right away by an armed citizen. Statistically speaking,
Yeah.
armed citizens save more lives, right? I mean, statistically speaking. And so
Yeah.
but I don't want to, like, again, I don't want to minimize what had happened here in Uvalde, because of the precious lives that were lost. But when we're talking about
Yeah.
statistically speaking, armed citizens save more lives than take lives.
Yeah. And Manny, that's what people expect here, and they expected their government to deliver. They expected their tax dollars to deliver for. They expected the trick to deliver for them.
Yeah,
That's why there was such outrage, and that's
yeah,
why our tax dollars are given, and that's why people are regulated, through laws and policies, etc. And so when the time comes, they expect they trust.
they got you freezing up again there.
Be the
Yeah, we got a slow signal there, Frank. I'm trying to get you, but lost you, Frank. Stand by. Let me try to get him back on here real quick. But folks, it is a tough situation. Oh, there he is. All right, here we go. All right, we got you back on there, brother. I believe. Maybe we're trying to connect you. But folks, as Frank is trying to connect here, it is a. There we go. All right, you got it. Oh, we lost him again. Yeah, here we. All right, folks. Let me see if we can get Frank back on board here. It again, like I was saying, it is a tough situation, and we don't want to criticize folks about anything. To tell you the truth, it just you know um, being in that type of situation, being in that type of environment, the things that I heard, were going on, my sources and all these things that were telling me along the way has been difficult to deal with. It's been very, very difficult to deal with. As I talk with people, what the words that went on in the hall there and whatnot, and then the aftermath, and we're going to see a lot of things happening, folks, in this investigation, and the response by the Biden administration has been, it's been terrible. And it's just it's sad to say, a sad situation. And I'm trying to talk at the same time. We're trying to get Frank back on, But again, folks, I don't want to minimize anybody's issues or mourning, in regards to what had happened in Uvalde. I do want to share some information, though, that I got. Of course, that Biden was there in Uvalde over the weekend, and I'm one of those guys who refuse to call him president, but because I don't think he's doing a good job. Anyway, but at the same time, when he was over there in Uvalde, he wanted to initially meet with some agents, but I got word that the agents respectfully declined, and then he came out with, well, if they want to meet with me, they have to be disarmed, and so this means even they have to put away their weapons, they had to even put aside or disarm themselves from any secondary weapons, which was ridiculous, and so. So a lot of the agents decided, what, I'm not going to talk to this guy, and left. They left they left the area, and folks, again, as a former border patrol agent, in my opinion, this administration has a disdain for law enforcement, has a disdain for American security, American sovereignty, and folks, this administration in is the wrong administration for this country. We see what is happening. We see the response. During Biden's speech, of course, the first words that came out of his mouth were, when are we going to stand up to the gun lobbyists, folks? That has no place. That has no place in this situation. What has happened in Uvalde and the tragedy that took place over there. And then of course at the town meeting, you saw if many of you saw, you had O'Rourke come over there and try to politicize it and interrupt the meeting when the governor was trying to give an update, and then the mayor was giving an update as well. But it's ridiculous, folks, what is happening here in America. I never expected, I never thought that this would these ideologies, with this type of administration would come to our shores. We just observed Memorial Day, where we honor and remember those who have given their life, have sacrificed their lives for this country, for freedom, and even gone to other shores to even sacrifice their life for freedom. So to make sure that these ideologies never came to our shores. And now, folks, we're having people who are embracing it. We have folks who are wanting to bring it into our government, bring it into our way of life. But the sad reality, folks, is that we have citizens that are willing to embrace these ideologies, folks, to give up their freedoms so that government can take care of them. Folks, this is entirely wrong. This is not the way America is supposed to be. This is not the way America is supposed to operate. The idea of America, the idea of a free republic, folks, that our founding fathers had in their hearts and their minds, is outlined in the Constitution. It's outlined in the Declaration of Independence. We have the right, unalienable right, to defend ourselves, folks. When Biden came out and said that the Second Amendment was not absolute, he's making an absolute statement there. But the reality is, in my opinion, the Second Amendment is absolute. It does give us the unalienable right, or actually supports our unalienable rights to defend ourselves. And this is why one of the reasons why we have America, because Americans decided to defend themselves against tyranny. And I'm not out there advocating violence. I'm not going out there and saying that we need to take up arms and rush against this government. But what I am saying is we do need to put people in office at this point in time. We have some upcoming elections that are going to be happening here pretty soon. Our Frank is getting, God willing, he'll get on the ballot. He'll be running in this district against the incumbent Tony Gonzalez, who has done nothing for this district, folks, in District 23 here in Del Rio. Sad to say, our good friend Raul Reyes, he didn't make it there at District 24. Pete Flores is back in. The Rhino, Pete Flores. Here in District 23, we have Tony Gonzalez, who is a Rhino, who is continuing to encourage illegal immigration by setting up these processing centers. Next week, Frank and I, we're going to be talking about that. We're going to show you some footage as well. We just had Catholic Charities open up an office here in Del Rio. Only one Del Rio got out there and protested it. I've been on different forums trying to educate people on why Catholic Charities shouldn't be here. We already have the Uvalde Humanitarian Border Coalition, folks, that is here, that is encouraging and transporting illegal aliens throughout the country. Folks, we don't need another NGO over here that's going to do the same thing, and is going to basically serve as transportation for the smuggling organizations and the cartels, But folks, it's a sad state of what happened in Uvalde, and Frank and I have talked about it. We talked about it this morning. We've talked about it a few, over the last week as well. I don't want to come out and criticize everything that had happened, and especially what the officers and the agents are going through as well. I've talked to several agents. I've talked to several people who are on the ground over there, and folks, I don't even want to describe the things that they have told me and what they saw. I can't even imagine, having to go through that and suffering the loss that these people have suffered, that this community has suffered, that these parents and these teachers went through. Folks. I mean, we Memorial Day, has always been an important time for my family and I, but we have people that were mourning the loss of their children during this time, and the loss of some great teachers, folks, and I pray that God is with them, that God gives them the comfort that they need, and is there with them to help them through this. Folks, the loss of a child, people will never get over. It's difficult. It's a difficult situation. Years ago, my wife and I, we lost a child, and we still think about them every single day. And but God has blessed us. He's given us comfort. He has comforted our hearts. He has brought us through a tough situation. And folks, the aftermath of this is just going to be phenomenal. And so we hope and pray that they get the support that they need, that they reach out to the people that they need, and others reach out to them as well. But folks, we just want to thank you so much for supporting us and watching us, and we truly appreciate. Again, I want to put up Frank's website here, if I can. He's running. He's going to be, God willing, he'll be running for Congress here, so you can go to his website at frank4cd23.com, and hopefully we can get him on the ballot there. God willing, he will be on there, and so we hope so, and get him in office. We need to get the right people in office, folks, to help with our constitutional rights. But folks, there's going to be a lot of discussion throughout the week in regards to what had happened here in Uvalde. Here's our website as well. You can go to tacoboutitlive.com, leave us your emails, leave us your comments as well, and your concerns. You can download the podcast here later. It's going to be available to you on Spotify as well as Amazon Music. You can go to our website at tacoboutitlive.com. You can download it there also. And hopefully pretty soon we're also going to be having some merch come back. We tried it for a little bit, but hopefully we're going to be able to do those, bring back some merch, and that way you guys can support us in that situation as well, because folks, we want to bring to you the things that are happening on the border. We want to bring to you things that are happening in America. This is a terrible situation, what happened in Uvalde, and folks, I just, there's no words for it. There are no words for what had happened. But I do think that the way the administration is handling this is terribly wrong. Trying to go after our our Second Amendment rights, our constitutional rights. In my opinion, folks, once you can infringe on one constitutional right, there's no stopping them at trying to infringe on the other rights, on our other constitutional rights. And the reality is, folks, this is how you gain control of a society. Not too long ago in a place called Germany, the Nazis disarmed their citizens and eventually implemented their form of socialism, which there is no good form of socialism. There's no good form of communism either, despite what the left will try to tell you, will try to have you believe. There is no good form of socialism. And all socialism eventually leads to some type of communism, right? And so here in America, we are a democracy, but the reality is our founding fathers wanted to found a republic, and this is one of the reasons why we say, I pledge allegiance to the flag for which, for the republic for which it stands, one nation under God. And so, folks, we need to put the right people in office. God willing, again, we'll get Frank. Hopefully, we'll get Frank in there. But folks, I know we're running out of time here today. Sorry for the late start. We're trying to get things set up while Frank is out of town. And next week, God willing, we'll be here on Taco Tuesday, 8 a.m. here. You can join us. But folks, thank you so much for joining us here today. I want to say I appreciate you all, and thank you so much for all that you do in your support for our program, and just continue to watch, continue to support us as we're going to try to bring you what is happening, the things that are happening not only in our community, but throughout the nation as well. But folks, I'm trying to set up here. I'm usually just the one-man engineer over here, so let me try to close this stuff out so we can end the program today. But again, folks, you can go to our website at tacoboutitlive.com, and this computer's acting up. And so to email us with your comments, with your concerns, with your questions. And again, it's hard to say because sometimes we don't get all the questions answered that we do on our program. But I will tell you, folks, that we need to continue praying for this nation. We need to continue praying for our communities. We need to continue praying for these families that are distraught, folks, and are going through the mourning that they're going through. So, folks, again, thank you so much for joining us here today on Talk About It Live with Frank and Manny. God willing, we'll be here next week, Taco Tuesday, 8 a.m. And so we hope that you would join us again. Don't forget to download our podcast on Spotify, Amazon Music, or you can go directly to our website, tacoboutitlive.com. Go to our podcast page, and you can download the podcast, and you can listen to us while you're on the go. So, and also go to Frank's website, Frank at frank4cd23.com. And you can help support him there as well. Pray for him. Let's pray that we get him in office. Let's pray that we get Tony Gonzalez out. Folks, next week we're going to be talking more about all these facilities that are popping up all over the place here on the border, these processing centers, these influx centers. So, folks, thank you so much for joining us. And we will say God bless you, God bless America, and God bless Texas.